All right, what's up, guys? We are recapping the first 2 days of the draft, and in today's video, as you can see, we are discussing really some of the biggest losers so far in the 2022 NFL draft, and there's a lot to dive into. And for me personally, I don't want to say the biggest loser, but a team that's had a horrific draft, for as far as I'm concerned, is the New England Patriots. And as crazy as that sounds, for as good as they've been over the past 2 decades, I just want to ask this simple question, because this is what the NFL draft is about. Where did you get better? What did you do in the 2022 NFL draft to think we're going to head into the 2022 season as a franchise? And the roles have reversed here, by the way. The Bills are the big brother of the division now. The past 2 years show that. A 30-point spanking in the playoffs show that. What did we do to become better as a team? And I can't get over, and this isn't the only thing. But wait, there's more. This isn't the only thing. You have a consensus top 15 players fall to your laps at 21 at a position you need. You trade back and take Cole Strange. And Cole Strange is a 24-year-old D2 guard. So hypothetically, even if the Patriots had Cole Strange even if they had him as the best player on their board, above Aiden Hutchinson, above Trayvon Walker, above everyone else that went top 10, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, hey, we're a little higher on Cole Strange than the rest of the NFL. We can trade back even again and pick up another 3, pick up another 4, maybe even some draft capital next year in case a team wants to move up to get whatever player at the end of the first round, and you take him 29 overall. But it doesn't stop there. Taekwon Thornton, a player who, this is going to seem like I'm anti-Taekwon Thornton, and I'm not, but I'm anti-Taekwon Thornton at number 50 overall. And that's a pick that I can't get behind, especially when this second wave of receivers happened a couple of picks after, and with players that are all better than Taekwon Thornton. Alec Pierce. I'm not even a huge Alec Pierce fan, but he is better than Taekwon Thornton. Sky Moore, significantly better than Taekwon Thornton. And George Pickens. George Pickens is going to be... Look, we always stereotype the Steelers with the receivers, with Deontay Johnson, with Chase Claypool, with Juju, with AB, with Martavis Bryant, with all of them. But George Pickens is probably going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't know when, but to have 3 receivers, all better than Taekwon Thornton, who, by the way, would have been there. I don't even know what the trade details were off the top of my head for them to get up to 50. But Taekwon Thornton would have been there whenever they were picking. And if they don't take him at 50, he still may be on the board at the start of day 3 of today. Now, I got to be honest. Their third-round pick, Marcus Jones, I didn't hate it. But when you're already 2 bad picks, at least 2 where the value is significantly off, especially Taekwon Thornton, I don't like the Thornton pick at all at 50. You want to take him at 150, fine. 50 though, that's steep. But Marcus Jones he's a 24-year-old corner from Houston. He's 5'8", 185. You lost J.C. Jackson as a franchise this year to a team that's looking to take your playoff spot in the Los Angeles Chargers, who, by the way, have had one hell of an offseason. And you try and replace J.C. Jackson with a 24-year-old corner who's undersized. That's not... what are they doing? Like, I've released videos before. What is this franchise doing? What are the New England Patriots doing? That's not something I can get behind. But enough slandering of the Patriots, because here's what I'm going to say. I like Cole Strange, the prospect. I don't like him at 29 overall. The same thing with Taekwon Thornton. I liked him as a prospect, didn't like him at 50 overall. But if they're their guys, then I will be the first to credit the hell out of them for hitting on those picks. But as of right now, I don't understand it. But another team that's just a bad football team in the Chicago Bears. They would have had the 7th overall pick, but they traded it for Justin Fields, which that's fine. Go get your guy. I get that. That was also a previous regime, so Ryan Poles, I, there's nothing he had within that. But what Ryan Poles had, he had a chance to help Justin Fields out. And don't get me wrong, like Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker are good football players. But when there's plenty of talent on the board to help your guy, that's not, I mean, those aren't picks where I'm a fan of. And Velus Jones Jr. is going to be 25 years old this year. Velus Jones, to me, it's underwhelming. There's still good receivers on the board. I would have rather had Jalen Tolbert than Velus Jones Jr. I would have definitely rather had David Bell than Velus. And especially Danny Gray. And I have prospects pulled up here, so I don't miss anybody. I don't want to miss any potential players. Calvin Austin, another player, especially Khalil Shakir and Kyle Phillips. And even Bo Melton, for that matter. I would have rather had all of those guys than a 25-year-old prospect. And little spoiler, I'm probably going to release a video in a couple days that says the Chicago Bears are ruining Justin Fields. Because I don't know how you look at the Bears' future right now and think anything positive for Justin Fields. Because what is there to base it off of? Your offensive line's already shaky. Could Tevin Smith be a good player? Yes. James Daniels is a great player. Great job, Chicago, by extending him this offseason. But James Daniels doesn't make the entire offensive line. And I can't get behind what they're doing. Now, there were a couple of other picks where I was just like, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think that they're the biggest loser in the draft by any means. But the Cleveland Browns, I was not a fan of taking Alex Wright at 78 overall. There were certainly a lot of edge and defensive end prospects that I was higher on than Alex Wright. From a pass rushing standpoint, I loved D'Angelo Malone. I loved DeMarvin Leal. This is over Alex Wright, by the way. I didn't understand that. There's a couple of other drafts where I'm just like, what is the game plan? We're going to make a biggest winners video after this, but I don't think this next team is in the biggest losers per se. But one pick, and it was back to back in the second round, where I was just like, what are we doing? The Saints took Alontae Taylor. That pick was way just overdrafted. I mean, they're like, let's just look at the corners here that were taken after Alontae Taylor. You take him at 49, the immediate next corner. Where's Cam Taylor-Britt? I know he was taken. I'm probably missing it right there at 60. I wasn't the biggest fan of Cam Taylor-Britt either. This is like coming off like huge just hater vibes for this video, but I still think there's a lot better corners on the board than what the Saints had at 49. The Vikings took Andrew Booth at 42. Loved it. And to be clear, I like the Kyler Gordon pick. I think he's going to be a good player. I don't like the team, if that makes sense. Like, you need to help out your quarterback. Like, the Bears are not going to beat the Packers for the NFC North this year. You're not that close to competing for an NFC championship. And I get what they're doing, but I'm also kind of just like, with it too. Because you're not going to go from the 7th overall pick with that roster. Now, it's possible other teams can do that, but not with the Bears 2022 roster. You're not doing that from Justin Fields year 1 to year 2. And especially, again, Jaquan Brisker, great player, great value at 48. But George Pickens is on the board, Sky Moore is on the board, and your number one receiver right now is Darnell Mooney. And I like Darnell Mooney, but number one receiver Darnell Mooney has a different ring to it. And that's why I'm kind of out on the Bears draft at the moment. I do think they can rebound, but Velus Jones is a pick I can't get over. I'm going to keep going here. We're going to get in all the big winners of the draft, which shout out Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Arizona Cardinals was another team where Steve Keim as a general manager, to me, I'm baffled as to what his game plan is heading into every draft. Cameron Thomas, defensive end from San Diego State. Clicked his wiki. I didn't get this one. There's a couple of other DNs that I would have rather taken over him. But I did like Myjai Sanders. I loved that pick. So Arizona Cardinals fans, that's great value. That is, for what we've done so far. Trey McBride, I kind of like the pick, but was it really needed? We still haven't addressed the offensive line to help Kyler, who was already disgruntled, who was already kind of pissed off, and there was a lot of antics around that. And then the Marquis Brown, I thought they overpaid, which when the Philadelphia Eagles got A.J. Brown for a 1 and a 3, and you gave up a 1 and then swapped a 3 for Marquise, for a player who you're going to have to pay, because you don't want to pay that first round, or you don't want to give up a first round pick for a year of production, or even, I mean, they picked up his 5th-year option, so 2 years of production, so you're going to have to pay him. They didn't trade for Marquise Brown to not pay him. So, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, it's another one where I'm just like, what is the thought process? And with the Cleveland Browns, I don't think that they're huge losers. I didn't like the Alex Wright pick, as we said, but the Martin Emerson one was kind of just, it was underwhelming for where it was. I think when you look at the Browns secondary, you have Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome. Greedy Williams is probably done in terms of his long-term outlook. He's had a lot of injuries. He's been okay as a football player. Nothing spectacular. But if you're taking a corner at 68, why not go for broke? Why not take Tariq Woolen? Why not, as simple as it sounds, why not take a guy that's 6'4", ran a 4.2 40, and hope that you can teach him up? Because he's not going to be starting from day one. You have Denzel Ward that you just paid $100 million to. You have Greg Newsome, a first-round pick who had a good rookie year, all things considered. I just thought there was, like, if I'm taking a corner at that spot, I would have preferred someone over Martin Emerson. But the Cleveland Browns, I think David Bell is terrific. David Bell, to me, is a player that's going to be productive for a long time. And I think he does everything right. Sure, he's not a burner. Sure, he's not Taekwon Thornton. Is Keenan Allen Taekwon Thornton? Is Adam Thielen Taekwon Thornton? No, but those guys are productive routinely, and I think David Bell will be too. But day 2 is one of my favorite. It is my, out of the 3 days, it is my favorite. It is my favorite day, because that's where good teams become great, or good teams become average. And I think there were a lot of teams, and we're going to get in that with the winners, that just made significant strides. And one final pick that I wasn't a huge fan of, to be completely honest, was Kenneth Walker to the Seattle Seahawks at 41. Because I think you have Chris Carson, you have Rashad Penny, who, as crazy as this sounds, why not go into 2022 with him? He had 700 yards in 5 or 6 games to finish the 2021 season. And I get not wanting to pay him that long-term of a deal. But in a sense, Drew Lock's your quarterback. So why not pay Rashad Penny to say, like, hey, here's a 1-year deal for $15 million instead of taking Kenneth Walker, when you have Chris Carson and a potential long-term player in Rashad Penny. Again, the Rashad Penny is a true flip of the coin. So I don't want the concept or the translation to think that, Football Analysis is saying that Rashad Penny is going to be a long-term player. I'm not saying that, but why not flip of a coin when, as the Seahawks, you can take at 41, you could have taken a player that's going to help you more. And I realized that they took Boye Mafe. Love the Boye Mafe pick. But the immediate pick before, but I wouldn't have even minded them double down on David Ojabo or Josh Pascal. I wouldn't have minded that in that situation. Even Andrew Booth to get a corner. So, again, I don't think the Seahawks are like the big losers of the draft. They're not. That was just me nitpicking. But the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears, mainly the Patriots here, but what are we doing to get better? As crazy as this sounds, that's a question that I don't know the answer to. Cole Strange, 24-year-old rookie. Taekwon Thornton, insane reach. Marcus Jones, 24-year-old rookie to replace one of the best corners in the NFL in J.C. Jackson. I don't get it, man. But anyways, that's going to wrap up the first video of today. So I hope you enjoyed. We're going to have a part 2 out in a couple of hours. So until then, as always, and as we finish every video, Please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.